What is up, guys? This is Cody on the Real Sports Talk, bringing you the Coca-Cola 400 preview. No, it's not the Coca-Cola 400. Coke Zero 400. Thinking the Coca-Cola 600, but that is not what this is. That was at Charlotte. And this is at Daytona. And as you probably know, this is the second time we're coming to Daytona this year. And it's going to be a great race, I believe. Under the lights, going to be wild. TNT is going to have the wide open coverage going on, so you're not going to miss a second of the action. And if last night was any indicator of what's going to come tonight, it's going to be a great race. So the people that like wrecks saw that, and we also saw some great racing for the people that just like to watch for the racing. 16-car pileup happened about near the halfway point of the race, and it took out a lot of the potential winners, including the Cup guys like Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, who was subbing in for Denny Hamlin, and Kurt Busch and Kyle Busch were involved as well. But Kurt Busch was able to salvage his car, and his team was able to patch it up. It didn't look like it was going to be able to run fast. It had a lot of damage, and they did a great job of patching it up, and Kurt Busch ends up holding off a charge from the tandem of Austin Dillon and Michael Annett. Great run for Michael Annett. He ends up finishing in third. No one's really talking about that, with Kurt Busch being the winner. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. comes in second. I believe he made a great move by staying behind Kurt Busch just because of points implications. If his move wouldn't have worked out, Austin Dillon would have won that race. So I think, and he was the highest point scorer in this race, since Kurt Busch obviously isn't racing for points, since he only races 4 races a year in this series. So it's a great move for Stenhouse, who was really worried about tonight with whether he knew it would either be a great points night or a poor points night for him. And he knew it could go either way, but it ended up going good points night for him. He takes the second place the second place position, as Kurt Busch takes the win with a push from him. Kurt Busch, off the initial green-white checker restart, tried to cut up around Austin Dillon, but then he couldn't make it around, and he couldn't get in front of Joey Logano. He was trapped in the middle. Ricky Stenhouse, who started in 11th on the restart, charged through the middle, shoved Kurt Busch to the front, and they were able to get around the Joey Logano Elliott Sadler combo that was paired at that point, and they were able to go to the victory from there. Danica Patrick was one of the fastest cars tonight as well. She led some laps, and it was also, she didn't really have a drafting partner at all for the first half of the race. And once her teammate Cole Witt got up there, he ended up drafting with her a little bit, but he fell back shortly after that. But Danica was holding up in the top 5 or so while these guys were tandemed up. And she could just, like, old-style pack race as they were tandem drafting. And I expect to see more of that tomorrow, because these tandems aren't a whole lot faster than the actual pack or cars racing singly, but they're fast enough where if they really push it, they can get out in front to a lead. Danica, after a hard wreck where the steering column was just pushed up and almost actually hit her after it was pushed up, she ends up finishing in 31st, but it was a good night for Danica. She's turning into a great restrictor plate track racer. She's just had some unfortunate circumstances. Second big hit of the year at Daytona. Just all-around unlucky for her. With some of the big names being taken out, we saw a lot of guys, and a girl too as well, that aren't accustomed to finishing in the top 15, and you guys might not even know some of these names. Danny Eflin, Jason Boyles, Joanna Long, who has been running pretty well all season, honestly, on a very underfunded team. Jeremy Clements, Timmy Hill ends up finishing in the top 10. Good finish for him. On the point stand, as we leave here, Elliott Sadler is 2 ahead of Austin Dillon. Those 6 points that he was penalized after last weekend's race could really cost him a championship. I mean, that's how tight the racing is, as we saw at the Cup Series last year. Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart tied at the end of the season. That 6 points could be huge for Austin Dillon. And Sam Hornish Jr. sticking in there, 35 back of the leader. Ricky Stenhouse obviously gained some points tonight with his second place finish. And Austin Dillon ends up spinning across the line in 4th. I don't know if I said that. Joey Logano finished in 5th. He failed post-race inspection. The front of his car was too low. So we'll have to see what measures are taken for that. Now moving forward to tomorrow's race. I talked a lot about yesterday's race, but I think tonight's race is going to be, or if I said tomorrow's race, it's very early on Saturday morning. So, I mean the Cup race. But I think that it's going to be a lot like the race we saw last night. And we're going to see some great racing, some cautions. I think we're going to see a new winner in this race, possibly a surprise winner. As Matt Kenseth starts on the pole, Ryan Newman on the outside pole. I expect to see more of that tandem pack kind of racing where it's the 2 cars teamed up, but they're just kind of all together in the pack. I expect to see that, and no one really jumping out to a huge lead. And the Fords led both practice sessions, but I also expect the Chevys to be strong in this Daytona race. Especially the Hendrick guys and the RCR guys, they seem to have these restrictor plate tracks figured out. And with this race, I said we could see a surprise winner, really. And that's because all you have to do is stay around for the finish, as we saw James Buescher in the Nationwide Series race in February. He just stuck around for the finish, and he was in 11th going into, it was either 11th or 13th going into the last corner of that race, and he ends up winning the thing. You just got to be on the lead lap on that last restart, and you have a shot to win at Daytona. Or it's that way at Talladega, too. And, well, it's that way at any racetrack, but more so at Daytona or Talladega, because just the things that can happen here, and how many cars can get caught up in a wreck, and if you make the right moves, you can end up in victory lane. Just as Kurt Busch did in the Nationwide Series race. So I don't necessarily expect an underdog team to win, but I think we could see some guy emerge. I think more like Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, Jeff Gordon will win this race. One of those guys. I think my pick for the race is going to be Carl Edwards. I just think whoever wins this race, it can be used as a springboard to move forward, and it can really help them out toward making the chase this season. Or, in Kevin Harvick's case, helping him out in the chase once the chase starts. But some dark horses to look out for. I think Eric Almirola is going to be pretty fast. Michael Waltrip's a great restrictor plate track racer. Kurt Busch, I think he can sweep the weekend, honestly. He just has to get a good run, and he's shown his muscle on restrictor plate tracks in the past. Even with Phoenix Racing, we saw him running around the front at Talladega before he was caught up in that wreck. And Trevor Bayne, obviously, past Daytona 500 winner. He's pretty good on their restrictor plate tracks too. He's racing for the Wood Brothers. A couple notables from qualifying as well. Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch are both to start beyond the 35th position. And it's not really a huge deal at this track, as we saw Kyle Busch gain like 20 positions in like 3 laps or something like that at the start of the race. He just charged through the field. But you can make those moves and get up there because guys aren't willing to push it necessarily early. But if you are back there early in the race, you might get caught up in some chaos that you don't want to get caught up in. That's why it's good to start toward the front half of the field. As we saw in the Daytona 500, guys just get a little excited early sometimes, get the jitters. And as we saw in that race, there's a big wreck in lap 2. So that was between Jimmy Johnson and Elliott Sadler, if you guys don't remember. And when you're back in the field, you have the potential of getting caught up in something like that. Well, you got my winner. Should be exciting. Kind of an unpredictable race. Hard to kind of try to tell you what's going to happen in this race, but I think it should be interesting and exciting with that wide open coverage TNT is providing as well. That should be good. And you got my winner, Carl Edwards. I'll have a post-race video for you right here on this channel. Come check it out.